All right, people, here it is. The big video I've talked about in several other videos. The joints right here holding up the sleeper. You have the airbag, holds that center bar up. Those corners are broke on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side, both right here. This is the passenger side. You can see how it's completely broken in half. We're going to weld this all back together. So y'all get ready for another great episode of The Trucker's Table. Let's get it started.
Robbie's got a gold watch, don't seem like a whole lot. After 30 years of driving up and down the interstate, but Robbie's had a good life, and Robbie's got a good wife.
All right, what we're looking at is a crack in the framing underneath the sleeper on the back side, and you can see these cracks has caused the back of the sleeper to start to wrinkle. So it's broke on both sides on the corner, and you can see in the video where these corners are completely broke off, and they need to be welded back together, both of them on each side. So right there where the shocks are, so that you can hopefully it'll stop the back of the sleeper from getting crinkled up any more than it already is. And I had a guy come out, James, and he welded this, and we used this flat weldable steel, and we cut it to fit, and he did a great job welding it. I made a suggestion when we were welding all this back together that we should drill a couple of holes into the center, and when he goes to weld it, weld those two holes in the center to the frame also, and that would give it some strength in the middle as well as welding it around the edges, which also gave it some significant strength. Now this was extremely hard to get to, and he's having to reach up under there and weld and grind and try to smooth it out and everything, and keep welding it. And the whole time we're doing this, we're having to be careful because the airbags for the cab are right there. So what we did was we wrapped up the airbags so that they're not exposed to all those sparks. And to get the cab up high enough and lined up enough, what we ended up doing was taking all the shocks off, taking the airbags, we left the airbags in, but we took the shocks off, get those out of the way, and then we used blocks of wood to try to lift it. And then when he welded it, you can see where he welded it in the center where we drilled the holes, and then he welded it around the edges as well. And so now it's pretty sturdy and it's holding pretty good. And but we did get a leak in the airline, and so I'm gonna have to replace that airline because it's got a pinhole in it, and you can hear the air leaking out. Once you air it up, then you switch the truck off, you can listen, you can hear the air. And I found the pinhole in the airline, so we're gonna have to swap out that airline. I have some extra airline, and I'll be able to swap that out and get all that replaced. We went ahead and put new shocks on it, new shocks, new bolts, all that stuff, and he did a great job welding it. The guy's name is James Garrett. Excellent welder, did a great job, very pleased with his work. He was very open to suggestions and how we can do everything to maximize the strength of the weld. And so this is just something that happens in older model trucks like ours. The design, the way they have it all done is kind of flawed, but overall I think he did a great job, and I'm really pleased with the work that was done. And like I said, I'm going to do an interview with him here in a minute, and then we're going to talk about his work and everything that he does. And like I said, he's a... Well, as y'all know, I've talked to you before. I got issues with the old Classic, where the things that Crossmembers have broke, and we've been trying to get them welded.
finally was able to get it done. We had a welder come out here to the house and do it, and so we could be on the driveway and try to keep it as level as possible. And it was a mess and a half trying to get it done. Such tight space getting up under there and everything. But there's a local welder here in the Tallahassee area. If you're ever at one of the truck stops within, what, 100-mile radius here. Well, let me introduce you. This is James Garrett III.
How you doing?
And
sure.
He's the one that came out and did all the welding for me.
Yep.
And I'll put some clips in here where y'all can see all the welding and stuff he did, and you'll be able to see he did a really good job. I've seen this done before. That's why I wanted to go ahead and get it done. And I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I think I can do it.
That's right. Yep. And if y'all need anything, I'm mobile. I can go within 100 miles. I can travel, whatever.
Yep. Got his generator,
Yep.
welding equipment, everything you need. And he can come out and weld at truck stops probably.
Yeah,
They'll let
absolutely.
You. Some truck stops are finicky about that.
I've got some cards that I'll send you a picture of one, or I can come by one day and I can drop them off some time in the future.
You can text me a picture
I'll text you a picture.
And I'll put
that
one
way
out.
they can get it. And
yeah. But yeah, if you're Mariana, probably
absolutely, absolutely.
Mariana, Midway, they got a couple truck stops.
Yeah.
Some of them will let you do some work, some of them won't, but you can always hide over in the back corner. They won't know what's going on.
Exactly.
But yeah, he did a really great job, and I really appreciate him coming out here. It's been so freaking hot today, man. I'm drenched in sweat. He is too.
Yeah.
All the way down to my daggum underwear, man.
Exactly.
Me and Bo's talking about going jumping in the pool and cooling off.
Yep.
But I still got some work to do. I got to put the shocks back on. I got to put the leveling valve and the bracket, all that back on. And so she'll work, and we'll be ready to go and get on down the road. We got to be in Chicago Monday morning. So we got to hustle. But yeah, James did a great job, and I highly recommend him.
Yep.
So if you're in the area and you need some welding done, give him a call. He'll come to you. Mostly on weekends, right?
Right, mostly on weekends.
Maybe late at night, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Late at night,
weekend,
during the week.
anytime.
Oh, okay. On weekend.
Absolutely.
All right. But yeah, I'll put all this contact information in here, and you'll be able to see. It's probably on the screen right now, right there somewhere. So just give him a call if you need any welding done. He'll take care of it.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll talk to y'all later. What's going on, everybody? Man, we are up here in Glendale, Kentucky at the Petro Blue Beacon, and we're fixing to get our shift started. We got here this morning around 7 a.m. and we just finished up a 10-hour break. So I'm thinking about running over to the Blue Beacon right there next to the fuel islands and get the truck washed if the line's not too long. And we're gonna head on up to Chicago. We gotta be up there. We're delivering at 8 a.m. in the morning, but I've already looked at Google Maps and there's traffic backed up between here and Louisville. There's traffic backed up between Louisville and Indianapolis, and then there's traffic backed up on the north side of Indianapolis before you get up there to Gary. So there's gonna be some backups getting up there. Don't matter if I leave now or wait and leave 3 or 4 hours from now, it's probably still gonna be backups. So all you can do is just go ahead and go and sit in traffic and twiddle your thumbs. So the reason I'm making this video, I want to talk to you guys about Freightliner Classics, Freightliner FLDs, both very similar in the cab, airbag, shock, suspension that's in the rear of the sleeper back there underneath. Maybe the same for the Columbias and the Century, I'm not 100% sure, but I know for sure on the Classics and the FLDs, the airbags are in the very center, which does not make any dadgum sense to me. If I had designed this truck, I would have designed it with 4 airbags, minimum. Maybe 3, but definitely 4 would have been the best. You could put one about 18 inches from the outside over there, 18 inches from the outside over here, and then the 2 in the middle right there, you know, but space them out about 2 feet apart also. So you got some space in between each one, and they're picking up the cab all the way across evenly instead of just right there in the center. Because what happened is the beam that they have going across there underneath the sleeper, it sets on that bracket that the airbags pushes up on. It sets right there on the lip of that bracket. So that bracket's pushing that beam, the that goes across there up. But here's the thing, the beam doesn't go all the way across. It only goes about 4 feet or so across. And then you still got another 1.5 feet sticking out on both sides. It don't make no sense. And then the beam ain't even a dadgum beam. It's a little thin piece of metal about as thick as this. And they just got it bent where it's got a lip, you know. It doesn't make any dadgum sense. The whole design is flawed. And then when they have it going over, and then it goes over and it comes down. And your shock's fastened on each side that comes down. And on either side you can put your cab leveling valve. You have to fasten the bracket, and then you put the leveling valve. And then that feeds the air to the airbags, how much air goes in it. If they had put 4 airbags and spaced them out across there, man, you talk about a smooth ride. You'd have a smooth ride. It would cost more to build, charge more. Okay? I don't mind. I'll pay it. If I'm not worried about breaking down, I'm not worried about the back of my cab wrinkling. That's what happens. It wrinkles right there in the center because that's where all the pressure's pushing up. So it's kind of like you take a paper towel and you pull down in the middle of that paper towel across a sharp knife. It's just gonna cut it right down that center, right? And that's what's happening. That the airbag's being in the center pushing up, and it buckles it up in the center. And that's just such a flawed design. I can't believe it. Anyway, another thing they could have done is when they came down and had the brackets welded on both sides, what they could have done was weld a plate on each side in those corners to give those corners more support, because that's what always breaks, those corners of the brackets. And it's kind of a violent break. If you see the pictures, you saw what I'm talking about. It looks pretty jagged. So we were able to use the airbags to move the beam up and down, line it up, bang it back into place. James did a great job welding it, and it's just it's just such a flawed design. I hate it. I really do. I wish they had done something better. But anyway, it's welded now, and it's pretty solid, so I think it's going to hold. I don't know if it happened during the welding process or if it happened with the airlines rubbing or what, but I do have a pinhole in the airline going to the passenger side airbag. As long as the truck is running, the air goes to it, it fills it up, it's fine. As soon as you cut the truck off, within 15 minutes, all the air is drained back out of the airbag and it goes down. But as long as you're driving, it's good. It's full of air, it's good and tight. And I got new shocks, I put new shocks on. So, yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on it and see how it does. But we're also where that bracket is that the airbags sit, we're gonna replace that bracket. I've already bought a new bracket, so we're gonna replace that. And we're going to new airbags, because I've noticed where they're starting to crack a little bit around the top. So we definitely want to hurry up and get new airbags on there. And I'm gonna see, what I'd like to do is have James come out to the house again, have my buddy Philip over at the TA at Mariana maybe come over to the house, and the 3 of us take out that back bracket, drill all that out, punch all those holes out, get that bracket out, put the new bracket in. The new bracket comes with the bolts, everything you need to fasten it back in. But when we take that old bracket out, while we got it out and we can get up in there where all that open space is, I'd love to be able to weld a plate all the way across there. And so what we would do is, to make it work, we would have to get 2 of these long, thin welding plates that I used in here. And what we would do is we would cut one so that it would go in the center of that one and leave about 4 to 5 inches on each end open. So when you put it in there, it fits in there like it's fitting into a slot. and then you just weld it all the way around, and weld it all together real good, and that way we'd have a reinforced plate going all the way across, and that would give it even more stability, more solid ride, and maybe it wouldn't break. You know, maybe that'll last for the life of the truck then. You can buy this bracket. I saw it online for $825. For $825, I could have James come out and weld it twice and still not be $825. So yeah, that's expensive for that thin of a piece of metal. I mean, if you're going to get that bracket, replace the whole bracket, I would say go to a fabrication shop that knows how to fabricate metal parts like that, and have them fabricate you one that's at least, I'd say close to 1/4 of an inch. Something that's solid, you know, something that's not gonna break. But yeah, that's the biggest problem. It's just too thin of a metal. But James did a great job. I'm very happy with what he did. He did some good work. My little brother, he lives in New Orleans. He's a certified welder, welded on oil rigs for years, you know, and I talked to him and got some advice from him, and I pitched some ideas to him. He told me some stuff I didn't know, as old as I am, you know, because I never went to welding school. My granddaddy taught me how to weld, but he didn't teach me little things about, like, keep your ground as close as you can to where you're welding. My little brother told me even, you know, when you, especially with stick welding, when you arc off to start your welding, arc off towards the ground, not away from it, and stuff like that. Stuff that I never learned because I never went to school to be a welder. I just learned from what my granddad taught me how to weld out in the shop, you know. And I welded the brackets for the toolbox, stuff like that, little simple stuff where it's easy for me to get to. I can weld, you know, I can weld decent welding, you know. But James did a tremendous job. But I told him, I said, hey, I got this idea, and I pitched it to my little brother first to see if it would seem like a good idea or not. And that's the metal plates, right? And I said, what if we drill couple holes in it, you know, decent size, about the size of my pinky or so, and then when you put it up there, you tack it in those two little holes. That'll hold the plate in place, and then you can weld around it. And then when you get done, you can go back and fill that in, weld that in, so that it's welded in the center of the plate to the beam, and then it's welded around the outside to the beam. I mean, that was just an idea that popped in my head. And he's like, yeah, man, that's a good idea. It's like, hey, I come up with a good one every now and then. But, yeah, we got it welded. I think it's gonna be even stronger than it was when it came out of the factory, to be honest with you. Because when you blend those metals, weld those metals together like that, it's pretty strong weld. And so I'm confident it's gonna be good. But yeah, so I put in, if you've gotten this far, you've already seen tons of pictures and little video snippets of what all we had to do, using the wood to level it and all that kind of stuff, filling it up with air, getting there and then letting it back down, getting it all lined up and everything, so we could so James could do all the welding and everything on it. I was this close to doing the welding myself, and Teresa said, FYI, my uncle passed away. He was my granddaddy's oldest son. My uncle that you hear me talking about, that I did My Trucking Life, we did the interview, guy that taught me how to truck drive and taught me all about trucking and stuff, who was like a big brother to me. I loved him to death, you know. It was his older brother, and so he passed away Monday, April 30th, I believe that was. Yeah, April 30th. And we had his funeral May 3rd, Friday. And so I stayed home the whole week, you know, to be with the family and everything, and go to the funeral and show my respect, because I love my uncle. He was such a great man. He was an electrician. He was he worked for a 3-notch EMC, I believe it was, or something like that, there in Donaldsonville, Georgia. Is where he started out, and then from there, well, he was a lineman, more or less is what you want to call it. They would run the line, power lines and stuff. And then he worked in Blakely, Georgia, up there for the same company, 3 Notch, and retired from that. He was also in Korea. He was in the cavalry, in the army, and just a great man. I admired him so much. I got my love of dogs, I believe, from him, because he had a bunch of coon dogs. He loved to go coon hunting. He had like world champion coon dogs. I mean, he won so many competitions with those coon dogs. It's unreal. He'd have big old trophies and stuff. And he's a really good coon hunter. And horses, loved horses. First time I ever rode a horse was at his house, you know. And so he's just, I'm gonna miss him dearly. I am gonna miss him a lot. But so I stayed home. Trish said, you're gonna be home all week. Call James, see if he can come over Saturday. Y'all can weld it Saturday morning. You can get everything put back together on the truck, you know, Saturday afternoon, give you time to leave out, be in Chicago Monday morning. So that's what we did, and we got everything welded. I think it took less than maybe 3 hours at the very most. And it was so freaking hot, man. We were both just drenched in sweat. And we steady chugging that Gatorade and ice water, man. I bet I drunk a gallon of ice water and at least 2 quarts of Gatorade. we were both just soaked from head to toe, like we jumped in the pool or something. And but yeah, he's a really good welder, really nice guy. He's a mobile welder, so he'll go to where you are. All you got to do is call him. I've already put the contact information in here. You've already seen it. If you hadn't, I'll put it in here again so you can see it. And just screenshot that. You'll have his contact information, and you can give him a call. And he's down. He lives down around Crawfordville, Georgia. But he said he'd go to Thomasville. He may. I don't know if he'd go to Valdosta. He might. Marianna, Florida. He said he'd go to at least that far over. You got the TA and Pilot truck stops over there. You got in Midway there around Tallahassee. You got a couple truck stops there. And there's places where you can park that's off the truck stop property, because if they don't want you working on trucks on their property, there's places you can park close by, like the Speedway. There's right there, you can park there and work on it, places like that. And he'll come to you, do the welding for you and everything. He does all kinds of different welding, stick welding with like an arc welder. He's got that. He's got the wire feed welder, different kinds of welding that he does. He went to, like he said, it was Lively welding school. And so he's a really good welder, and he'll do a good job for you, reasonable rates. And so I would highly recommend him if you need any welding done on your truck, some brakes or anything like that, you know, that needs, you can't get the part, you can maybe weld it back together or something. But I told him, I didn't tell him, but I should have. He needs to learn how to weld spindles. Be one of those spindle doctors, you know, with the welding. He can make a lot of money doing that. But who knows? Maybe someday he'll be a big shot. He'll have his own little welding company, you know, weld at a shop and mobile welding as well. He's still young. He's got plenty of years ahead of it. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know, if you've ever had this trouble with your truck, that welding it is an option. And it's a viable option. It's a good option. A lot easier than trying to replace that bracket. Because if you try to replace that bracket, you got to take out the airbags. You got to take everything loose back there. Your leveling valves, all that's got to come out and get out of the way. You may even have to come in through the sleeper back here. I'm not sure. But it's got rivets. It's riveted. So I don't know if you, when you go to replace the bracket, if you could do the thing where you push it up in there and crank it, and then you can screw bolts up in there. You might could do that, because the main thing is you just want it to hold in place, because the weight of the sleeper pushing down on it, it's not going to go anywhere, but you just want it to bolt it so it stays in place, it doesn't move. And but it's such a mess to try to change out that whole bracket, because it's the same bracket that your shocks is fastened to and everything. So it's so much easier if you can weld it. And if you can weld it with your shocks still attached, that's a good idea. We didn't do that. I took the shocks off because I was putting new shocks on. I thought it'd be easier for them to weld it without the shocks there. And then when I went to put the shocks back on, I had to do some tapping, knocking to get them and hit them there, because I think it had shifted just a little bit. So there was some maneuvering to get it in there. It was a little bit harder getting it in than it was getting it out, for sure. So maybe leave your shocks in when you weld it. And then after that, you can take them out and change them if you want to. But yeah, give James Garrett a call. He'll definitely hook you up. I think he primarily works on the weekend. I don't know. I don't think he works during the week because he has a regular job he does during the week. But definitely on the weekends, if you're at a truck stop or home or wherever you're at, give him a call. Maybe he can come out and help you out, and tell him Triple T sent you. Oh, Robbie, with the Big Blue Classic. So anyway, just want to put that out there to you guys. I know a lot of you just want to jump on here and see about the weld. You don't really care about all the talk. But if you did listen, you heard anything, I appreciate it. If you would, please be kind. Jump down and hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and ring that little bell so you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. So thank you guys for coming along on this little repair job we had to do on the old Big Blue Beautiful Classic, my baby. I told her, first thing I told him, I said, man, I love this truck. This truck's like a youngin'. I love it. Ain't nothing I won't do for my Big Blue, baby. I love her to death. And she's been so good to me the last 2 years. I've had so much fun driving this truck, man. I'm not lying. It has made trucking fun for me again. The Volvo, I was just making a living, you know. But when I got in this truck here, I'm not only making a living, I'm having fun. I love driving this truck. It's hard to explain. What they say, if you find something you love, you never work a day in your life or whatever it is. And I don't feel like I'm working when I'm driving this truck, man. I feel like I'm just having fun and dropping stuff off here and there, and they're giving me some money for doing it. And so yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And don't plan on ever selling it unless I find the right person I can sell it to when I retire. But I love Big Blue. I don't know who I'd give her to, you know. I don't know if any of my nephews or cousins or anybody ever going to get into trucking or anything like that. But we had talked about maybe turning her into a motorhome, you know, or something. But yeah, I love this truck. I really do. The man I bought it from, I think the world of him. He is such a great man. Mr. Jimmy McCrae. He loved this truck also. He took really good care of it. And I'm really blessed and thankful to God that I got to meet Mr. McCrae. Even if I didn't buy the truck from him, just meeting him and talking to him and learning from him, him being in trucking over 50-something years and just being such a good Christian man, him and his wife Sarah. I mean, they just two of the best people you'll ever meet. And he drove this old truck. I think he was, I want to say, around 78, 79 years old when he finally stepped out of it, you know, because anyway, I'm off topic. But anyway, I love this truck, and I told him, I said, I got to take care of my baby. I got to get her fixed up, you know. And so we still got a lot more stuff to do. We're going to give her a facelift with some new visors, stacks. I want to do different mirror brackets so we have more of a clean look instead of all those bars. I want to get the frame sandblasted and painted. There's so many things I want to get done. If I had a $50,000 check, you know, if any of y'all guys got $50,000 laying around, hey, I'll put it to good use, man. We'll get stacks, visors, mirrors. We'll get the frame painted. We'll get the motor rebuilt. This will look like a completely different, beautiful truck, and it'll be all thanks to you. So get in contact with me. That's thetruckerstable at gmail.com. And we'll make arrangements to come by and pick that $50,000 check up. But yeah, $50,000, man. I can trick this truck out good. You know, get the frame painted, get the motor rebuilt, stacks, visor. Yeah, I just need about 50 grand. So anyway, we're just cutting up. But thank you guys so much. You guys are the best subscribers out there, and you make this a lot of fun for me. I wouldn't be out here doing it if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. And always keep punching.